Gentlemen and gentlemen, enough is enough. Women have been running this world for far too long, and it's time for men to be heard. We're tired of all you women ignoring everything we say while we create all the laws and control all the power and make all the decisions regarding you and your body. What's up, people? Welcome back to Seeking Validation from Internet Strangers. My name is Ben, and I want you to love me because I love you, but only if you're subscribed. Today we're going to be talking about a spooky little channel I found called Men Need to Be Heard, created by Dan Romand. This guy's so much of a man, he has man in his last name, Romand. And his first name's only one letter away from being man. If you change that D to an M, that's Man Romand. If I'm being completely honest, I don't even know where to start with this guy. He's got so many insane videos. So let's just start you off with one of his crazier takes.
Welcome back to Men Need to Be Heard, the channel dedicated to raising awareness on the issues that men and boys face in today's modern society. And today I want to dive into a conversation that came up during my weekly live show, Boy Meets Squirrel, a week or so ago. And the question that was asked was, should men consider wearing body cams whenever they're out in public or in situations where they might have to interact with women? Now, both David and I are advocates for men wearing body cams.
That's right. That is right. This guy is an advocate for men wearing body cams when interacting with women. I guess to protect themselves from false allegations, which, as we all know, happen all the time. But guys, let's not jump to conclusions here, okay? Listen to Dan.
Now, before anyone jumps to any conclusions, let's be clear. This isn't about paranoia, nor is it some grand conspiracy against women.
This isn't about paranoia. There's nothing paranoid about me filming every interaction I have with a woman. There's nothing paranoid there. There's no paranoia.
I liken it to having car insurance. You don't technically need it every day unless you're a really, really bad driver. But those few times in your life that you do need it, well, let's just say it sure does come in handy, doesn't it?
So in this analogy, Dan is saying women are like cars, in that most of the time they don't interact with you, they don't look at you, they don't touch you, they don't even honk at you. But when they do decide to interact with you, boy, oh boy, it is gonna hurt, it's gonna be messy, and it's gonna cost you a lot of time and money. Using this analogy to back up a claim that men should essentially be wearing dash cams at all time to prove that you didn't technically grope a woman. No, my hand's hovering over your breast, but it's not actually on it. I'm not touching you. It's a bit of a stretch. He then goes on to say this.
Now, both David and I are advocates for men wearing body cams, but what really stood out to me wasn't just the conversation itself, but the reaction, which at least from the ladies, wasn't very positive.
Really? It's the most interesting and surprising thing to me. Women hate the idea of constantly being filmed without their consent? What? Historically, only good things have ever happened with men filming women in public. It's almost never something creepy.
In fact, I'd venture to say that many women absolutely hate the idea of men wearing body cams, which is why I wanted to make this video to explain a bit more in depth why they should, and more importantly, why they shouldn't. Insights on why men should be proactive about protecting themselves. Cases where men lost everything, their careers, their reputations, and that's where the body cams come in. Because you see, having a recording of he has proof to defend himself. In a world where believe all women has become a mantra, in fact, I'd argue that
God, this guy talks so slow. He talks so slow and all he says is things that make me mad. Also, this is a perfect time for me to point out his little sign back here that says, I'm an aquaholic, let's get shit-faced. I mean, that's just gold. That's just gold. If that's not how a man needs to be heard, then I can't tell you what is.
Video evidence is a man's best friend. Now, predictably, as I said, some people, all women, by the way, weren't too happy about this discussion.
Woman pissed at screen. Woman angry at laptop. I wonder why women weren't happy about that discussion.
One woman in particular went on a tirade, furious that David and I would even suggest men should protect themselves in this way. First, she tried to claim that wearing a body cam was illegal, an argument that we quickly debunked. While yes, recording laws vary by state, and you should find out what they are in your state, generally speaking, at least in public spaces, there is no expectation of privacy.
He says he quickly debunks this idea, and then he says it does vary, so she'll be sure to check, because she's right in some states. But also, like, the amount of false allegations being brought up, how many of them are actually happening in public? I have to imagine pretty slim. I could be totally off on that, but just my gut tells me if you're going to bring up a false allegation, it's not going to be something that happened in plain sight with witnesses.
And when that didn't work, she pivoted to a different argument, one I'm sure won't surprise many of you, which was to say that it was offensive and sexist for a man to wear a body cam. Yeah, you heard that right. Sexist.
That's right. Sexist. That's right. Sexist. Now, men wearing body cams is obviously a crazy solution to this problem, but I also think it's just a bad solution. I just don't think recording every second of your life on the off chance that somebody brings up a false allegation against you is worth the absolute alienation from the world that having a body cam would cause. Do you really think you would ever have a positive interaction with a woman if you were wearing a body cam at all times? No. Dan's channel is based on the premise that men need to be heard and that he's an advocate for men, and yet all of his content seems to be hyper focused on women. Like this video, women are melting down, and it's hilarious. For someone who's claiming to be a mental health advocate, you kinda are acting like a real dick.
If you've been on social media at all this past week, you've probably seen it. Women by the thousands crying, whining, and posting videos complaining that they didn't get anything for Valentine's Day. Like this one. Now I have to admit, these videos crack me up.
I'm sorry, let's read that. Did anyone else's man not even bother to do nothing for Valentine's Day? I asked mine why he didn't do nothing for me, and he said he doesn't care about that stuff. But like, I do. It's been 3 years together, should I leave kinda messed up. Her boyfriend of 3 years did nothing for her on Valentine's Day, and then once confronted, he was like, nah, I just don't care. I think she's well within her right to be upset about that. If you've been seeing someone for 3 years and we're celebrating a day that's all about love in our relationship, maybe do something. This guy sounds like a really shitty boyfriend. Let's see Big Dan's response.
Now I have to admit, these videos crack me up. Not just because of the over-the-top dramatics and crocodile tears.
Over-the-top dramatics and crocodile tears? Dan, she was literally just sitting there. She was literally just sitting there. What over-the-top dramatics are you talking about? And what does crocodile tears even mean? I've never heard anyone say that in my life.
But because the women making them don't seem to realize that these are the reasons why they didn't get anything. And frankly, they probably shouldn't have. Think about it. If you're running to the internet for validation from strangers instead of having a real conversation with your partner, why should he bother?
That's right, it was your fault. You're the one that did this to yourself. Maybe if you loved me better, I would be able to love you more. I'm sure it's no surprise to you that Dan has been divorced a couple times.
When I was battling X1, as I call her, for years ago.
Maybe it is a surprise to you because you're just thinking, how did this guy ever get married in the first place? But, you know, after watching a video like this, it really is a wonder why this guy's marriage just didn't work out. In this video, he says this, which I just find hilarious.
You've already made it clear that playing the victim for clicks, likes, and sympathy is more important to you than building an actual relationship.
Hey, Danny boy. Hey, Danny boy. This is a common thread throughout Dan's channel where he criticizes women for blaming men for all their problems as he blames women for all of his problems. He criticizes women for making absurd claims and gross generalizations, all while posting videos like this.
Alright, so recently I did a video about how women accessorize their bodies. You know, kind of like the car guys mod their rides. And let's just say, some folks, well, they weren't too happy about it. But let's be real, shall we? This is a competitive sport for most women, and contrary to what they claim, they're not doing it for men. Oh, hell no. Women are out here trying to outmod each other.
So here he's making the claim that women are making physical changes to their body as a competitive sport and they're all looking to get one up on each other. And apparently he's claiming that women have been blaming men for this and he believes women are actually the ones to blame. Shocker.
Some ladies, well, they replaced their stock headlights with, let's call them aftermarket models. Bigger, shinier, and high beam ready at all times. Then you've got the turbochargers, aka the ones with lip filler. Gotta make sure those injectors are working overtime to get the most out of them, right? And then there's the high mileage models. You know, the ones that have to get a little dent repair done with some Botox or get a full rebuild because the engine just ain't revving like it used to.
Dan, how's your car running? How's your card running? Wildly offensive take aside, this is the second time Dan has compared women to cars. And over the course of my research on this guy, I've developed a hypothesis. And it's just that I think Dan wishes women were just cars. I think in Dan's ideal world, he could just sit around all day and fuck cars. I think Dan just really wants to have sex with cars. And Dan, I'm here telling you, that's okay. You're allowed to do that. In fact, Dan, please get off the internet and just sit around and fuck your car all day. It's a win-win. Please start fucking your car. This video also has another glaring flaw that I see consistently with Dan's channel.
It was why they were so upset about it, because I was saying it was the women who make them do it, not the men. And it led to a chorus of them saying, it's men who make us do it. It's men who force us to wear makeup. It's men who make us have surgeries and do all those other things we have to do to look good for them. Sorry, ladies, but no. And I'm not even asking you to take my word for it. One of my followers sent me this video that more than proves my point. Now look, I mean no ill will towards this woman, but really?
Dan, how does that video prove your point in the slightest? It doesn't prove your point at all. You can't just put something in there and say it proves my point when it literally doesn't at all.
Look, ladies, if you want to go get all that work done to build your confidence, then by all means go right ahead. But posting it all over the internet? Well, let's be honest about why you're really doing it, shall we? Which is to get clicks, likes, and validation from other women.
It just feels like he's inserting himself into a conversation that he's just simply not a part of. This has nothing to do with you, Dan. You're constantly criticizing women for posting on the internet to get clicks, likes, and sympathy from other women when what are you literally doing right now? What are you literally doing right now? So I think it's time to share the point that I'm trying to make with this video. Let's take a look at Dan's website. Welcome to Men Need to Be Heard. My name is Dan, and I'm an advocate who speaks out on the issues men and boys face in today's society. This show is dedicated to supporting men and providing them the education they need to navigate a world set against them. That's ridiculous. That's actually the first time I read that specific line. The world is obviously not fucking set against men, you dipshit. Dan is framing himself as an advocate for men, as a mental health advocate, as a way to support men and boys through challenges that they face in life. And I personally believe that men's mental health is a massive issue in the world. There are millions upon millions of men out there struggling with some sort of mental health issue, and they just simply aren't getting the help they need. They aren't talking to people about it. They aren't even allowing themselves to accept the fact that there is something there that is wrong because they don't want to be seen as weak or whatever it may be. And it's these guys like Dan who are continuing to add fire to the issue. And Dan's not the only one. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of channels and men and podcasts out there that are claiming to be advocates for men when all they're really doing is perpetuating sexist propaganda and blaming women for all of their problems instead of looking inward at the culture that they're creating for men. Like Dan created this video, 5 perks to being single again for men. Literally all 5 perks are just that you don't have to deal with women anymore. How is that helpful in any way, shape, or form? I mean, could you imagine if your therapist did this? So Ben, how are you feeling today? I don't know, I guess I've been feeling kind of depressed lately. Let me guess, woman? What? I'm just assuming it was a woman that caused all of these issues for you. I mean, I guess my breakup was hard. Yeah, that definitely has something to do with it. Well, actually, I'd say that has everything to do with it because women are fucking idiots. Women are fucking stupid and dumb and they ruin your life. But hey, look at it this way now, man. At least you don't have to deal with women anymore. I mean, I don't know. I did like being in a relationship. I felt very loved, and I just think ultimately we had issues that we couldn't work past. I do want to find love again. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't want another relationship. You don't want to find love. I got a tip for you. Fuck a car. Men have created a culture where speaking about your problems or expressing vulnerability or admitting that you're struggling with something is deemed as weak or too feminine or whatever it may be. And it's just creating an awful cycle that's leading to more and more men and young men and boys feeling more isolated and more lonely than ever. There are men out there who feel like they don't even have one true close friend. And I think one of the reasons is because media like this is pitting them against an entire generation and is instantly isolating them from 50% of the world and not allowing any of these men to develop an actual relationship with a woman, which in most cases is pretty helpful. Most of the women I've met are like, please, men, boys, just go to therapy. Women just kind of inherently understand the struggles that human beings have to deal with, and statistically they're significantly better at creating deeper, longer lasting real relationships than men. So I think if these so-called male advocates took a step back and stopped focusing all of their hate towards women, men would see that there's actually a lot of benefits and things that we can learn from women and gal culture. We've coexisted on this planet for a pretty goddamn long time, so I don't actually think that we're meant to be constantly pitted against each other. Otherwise, this is what we get.
How does it feel to know that there are millions of women out there like me whose upgrade is actually no one?
How does it feel? Well, in a word, fantastic. Yeah, you heard that right, ladies. Sorry to burst your bubble, but it feels absolutely fan-freaking-tastic to us men to know you're removing yourself from the dating pool.
A world where men and women, instead of working together, distance themselves from each other more and more and more until everyone is alone and single and unhappy. But hey, if that happens, at least Dan will still have his cars to fuck. Guys, thanks for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like. I'd love to get this video to, like, I don't know, 40 likes. That'd be crazy. If you aren't subscribed, please consider subscribing and maybe turning notifications on so you never miss a video. Thank you all for watching. I love you dearly, and I will see you in the next video. Peace.